Good afternoon, everyone. Um, Today, in the next 20 minutes, I want to take you through an invisible advantage that we see in media that curate a lot of brands, builds a lot of brands, and as well have an influence on consumers. And before we do that, we need to start diving deep into it. And when you think, if we strip away the dashboards, the panic that we have weekly, and we look at the real goals, and the real goals are every brand wants more consumers, expand the consumption, and grow the category. That's it. That's as simple as it is. Anything else is just us arguing with spreadsheets at midnight. And for us to understand this more, we need to know that the brands that we are looking at right now, they don't need a punchline, they don't need a slogan. Actually, your mind connect the dots automatically, right? And that's what we call the mental availability. And you even can hear it, right? When you see that golden arch, your mind starts to hear pa 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 pa, right? And for us, it's not about how we can build that. It's about how these brands have been there consistently and with the same skin, same tone of voice. And why they don't choose you as brand sometimes, because it's unfamiliar, right? And what do I mean by unfamiliar? Our brains are beautifully lazy. They don't want to burn the extra calorie. If a brand that you don't know, you will resist it automatically, and you'll try to find the most alternative that you already know. And that's the sweet spot that builds that, which is the salience. Salience is an equation, and that equation goes with the price question. For example, do you ask yourself sometimes, why do some footballers, musicians, or even comedians earn more than CEOs and other people? Because people pay for emotions. People want these goosebumps, the belonging, and that's what we call it the economic of emotion as well. And the real product over here is that kind of emotion, and no one compares it. For example, last week, there was a comedian in town called Bassem Youssef, and me and my wife were thinking, should we go or not? A decent seat was a 500 dirhams. An okay seat is 200 next to the bathroom. So I was whining about that 1,000 dirham I paid off, right? Happy wife is happy life, of course. Yet, the laughs, the goosebumps, all of that just made us think, if this guy is back in town, we will pay the 1,000 dirhams and still happy about it. And that's the power of media, because this builds a value of chain, right? Emotion builds memory, and memory builds value. And what value? Is a long-term growth. And this sustains, that overpowers anything, which is the brand equity itself. And for this value chain to last and outperform, it needs consistency. Consistent emotions means consistent media, because if you're consistent as a brand and you always show up in your own tone of voice consistently with the same skin, what you get is a rhythm. Any brand that has a steady pulse overperform any other brands. And sometimes the equation comes to truth that has been there in front of us for decades. Over here, I know it's a chocolate brands, and I'm pretty sure everyone loves chocolate. Over here, Snickers are not selling you chocolate. They're selling you the permission to actually be who you are when you're not hungry. As well as Kit Kat, they're selling you a break. They're not selling you chocolate. And ironically, this has been on air since the 50s, maybe 70 years, and they didn't change it. And that's why automatically they pop up into your mind. And this is the power of salience. And the power of salience come over here. So you're talking about salience, mental availability. Tell us more just to understand these big terminologies or these weird terminologies. It is actually the feeling, like a punchline. You know it, you hear it. Similar to McDonald's example that I was giving to you. It's knowing the answer of the question before actually hearing the full question. And this is it. That's how you build your brand. So, is new something good? We get excited in marketing that I want that new skin, I want to take over these locations, I want to have a new creative. New is sexy, it's attractive, yet it's fragile. People's tendency to forget is extremely high, and it's a trap. That's why we can see that brands like Coke, for example, never changed their logo for years. The last change they have done is evolution, and not a revolution. It's not a new skin, because they want the consumer to always remember them as they have met them first time, the emotion that they felt toward them. So, what if you don't have a chocolate brand and you're not selling cans of soda? Premiumness is actually justifiable. You don't buy it. And what I mean by justifying it is you need to not persuade people, but you need to justify it through media, through presence, through that investments that goes beyond the mixed intersection between culture, media, and your communication. And how do you communicate it? And when you do that, the business charts smile back to us, and sometimes winks, because it was proven across multiple markets, multiple sectors, that brand equity always wins. Building that. It's more linear growth versus sales activation. Sales activation spark. People choose you because you had a better price versus other competitors. But brand equity means you're always on the top of the list. And that automatically makes things better. It's like compounding stock notes or structure notes. Everything compounds. Don't we tell our colleagues, our teams, that discipline is important? Every day you show up, that means it's actually you're going toward a better, stronger if you go to the gym, and better in the work. So if I have one advice to advise you today is, don't go dark beyond 8 weeks. People mentality is fragile, they forget. After 8 weeks, someone else will come and park in that free slot in their minds. Your share of voice is share of mind. Steady pulse is very important, even with a tiny budget, but consistently. And finally, that equity compounds, because hard work compounds, and consistency. It's the mathematical truth of memory building. I call it the Mo Salah phenomenon. Call me biased, but he is the best footballer, right? And why? Not because of his performance on pitch. I'm talking off pitch as well. He's a phenomena, his example, his discipline. The way he chooses his social media presence, his interviews, takes him as a full-on brand. So next time when you book your ticket to Liverpool and watch Mo Salah, ask yourself that question. Are you actually rationally doing this, or it's based on emotions? Taking from culture and these emotions to a little bit of framework. Reach invites you to the room, to the house. Relevance makes you stay more and longer with these households. But when reach and relevance marry each other, that's when the business chart smiles, and that's the revenue. Proven 5-folds when you actually do that mix. And that means today we need to cope with the changes that happens, right? We are different people with different insights and different, I would say, affinities. So creative art is no longer for the sake of art. It has to be curated. It has to be very proven that one size doesn't fit at all. You cannot take your TV copy and put it on YouTube and expect people to actually watch it the same. It's completely different. And AI today helps us to build efficiencies in buying. Signals, behaviors, what the right ad for the right people, and it's all automated, easier. And we have been chasing a lot of businesses to adopt the idea of dynamic creative optimization, which is a specific ad that can go on creating a demand space, moments. Think of it, how Nutella has changed the whole breakfast moment. Do you think it's psychologically engineered or just luck? And I know, you always have these fights internally. I've seen it. Procurement, fighting, how can we do that cheaper? Marketeers want to push the love of the brand. And the sweet spot come here when you have the fundamentals of your equity. You build that mental availability and the salience already. Because acquisition comes cheaper. Your revenue will be 5-fold, and that's become the sweet spot. Going dark is not a solution. It actually can be recalibrating your budgets and recalibrating your path as a brand. And I always end my meetings with the brand teams is with that question. If your brand disappeared tomorrow, would people notice? And I'm not talking about your CEO and your demand team. I'm actually talking about real consumers. Because if they do, that means you have been doing a great job building a brand, not just doing noise and loud advertising. And I want to leave you with these 4 main steps. Very simple, to the point. Always show up. Always show up as a brand, always show up as a person. Consistency compounds. Media and comms, or creative, are your growth engine. They are the fuel for your marketing funnel. Loyalty is about feeling. No one is loyal because they are logic. They are actually loyal because of that feeling. And people buy these feelings, not the facts. Emotional do the connections and not the rationale. Thank you so much. I hope today I brought some perspective. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.